It's Monday, December 12th, 2005, and you're listening to Machinima Live. Today, we'll discuss the art of machinima and its evolution. Have you ever wondered how machinima is produced? We'll talk with Dr. Nemesis from Binary Picture Show as he sheds much-needed light on the technology that drives machinima and its direction for the future. We'll also take the first person's point of view at the good, bad, and the ugly machinima films that are available for download on the net. Jack in and prepare yourself for Machinima Live up next.
I know what you're trying to do.
I'm trying to free your mind, Neo. But I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.
So here we are, sitting at our workstations with that dumbfounded look on our faces. What are we getting ourselves into? I have no idea. But wanted to introduce myself. I'm Phil, founder of White Dove Entertainment, residing in the cold and snowy Chicago, Illinois. Very cold out right now, and actually expect more snow throughout the rest of the week. And I'm joined by Dr. Nemesis from the UK, founder of Binary Picture Show. How you doing, Doc?
Can't complain. Weather's not too great on this side either, but otherwise it's quite good.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you know, to start out, there's so much to talk about, and again, things that we can discuss that are relevant in technology, something that's kind of right off the bandwagon. It's been around for a couple years, but not too many people know about it. What are we actually talking about today?
Well, Machinima's progression kind of started off in a very niche place, namely in the Quake films, possibly even further before that if you wanted to go really far into the demo scene and everything. But right now, thanks to the efforts of a lot of people collectively, Machinima, which for those of you who don't know is making animated shorts, animations in a real-time engine, not necessarily a game, but mostly in a game.
So, in other words, a user can sit down, record their whole game session, and then play it back, and I'm guessing they'd be able to distribute those files to other people on the internet so that they can view what they just played, correct?
That's right. The first time I think I ever realized the potential for such a thing was in Quake, when I realized you could actually record demos. Of course, I never envisaged it would go so far that you would eventually be able to put your own music into it and make guys run around and do things, but the ability to do this has been around for quite a while. Even back in the days when I had a Super Nintendo, I used to watch the beginning of Super Mario 3, and they'd be running around on the screen. I always used to, think about making a film with all the collective pieces of games that I had. So, yeah, it is pretty much on the most basic level recording a game and putting it together to make a narrative of some kind.
But how has the development of technology kind of progressed through from Quake, and the tools available from Quake? Were those tools that were made available by the developer of the software, or were those tools that were actually custom programmed from other people, like in a mod community?
Well, when this first started off, it was 100% from the mod community. I mean, Dr. Uwe Gersch, I'm not entirely sure if that's the correct pronunciation of his name, I think he's German, but he, so to speak, I mean, technically I think it was illegal for him to reverse engineer the demo format for Quake 1 and 2, which is what allowed another person, CRT Wright, to make the first editors, or, well, Keygrip 2 was the first big editor anyway, to make these things. So at the beginning, it was 100% a community thing, and then only later on, when popularity picked up, did it become more of a supported feature by the games houses.
Now, again, we're hoping to attract a wide audience, because most people, believe it or not, don't know what machinima is. They don't know where the word came from. But in general, would it be safe to say that machinima is the art of filmmaking, inside a game engine?
Yeah, that's right. It's safe that's a safe definition of it. In the grander sense, it isn't limited to that. I have to point out, because I did get into a bit of a pointless argument with someone about this on 3D Buzz, and no, there have been instances when Machinima has been made with non-game engines, and those still count.
Well, the technology is amazing out there, and kind of the way I see it, a lot of independent filmmakers that either want to pre-visualize something is one of the advantages of Machinima, because the software costs thousands of dollars if you want to actually go in there and actually create a film, whereas now you can take a game, you can change its settings, you can remap something to look exactly how you want your film to look. And I think that's one of the things that the biggest advantages of Machinima.
Yeah, that is correct. What it does is that even if the result isn't always visually very awe-inspiring, it does give the average person who normally wouldn't have had such a chance to get their story across to hopefully like-minded people, is usually the aim. And that was something, I don't know, that definitely didn't seem to exist before now. I mean, before Machinima.
Well, if I can ask you a quick question now, we have games such as Quake 4, Doom 3, Unreal Tournament. There's quite a few others out there. The publishers are actually including the tools now, allowing you to do these type of things to create these animated films. Why do you think they're doing that?
Well, when this first started off, a lot of the films weren't of a very good quality. A lot of people didn't really take notice of them. A lot of games companies didn't take notice of this. It's only as people started upping the ante and producing films that were a lot better than guys jumping up and down in Quake with an axe saying really childish stuff. So in time, I think they did realize that there was a good potential for profit to come available from thinking in this way. And so it was. I think it was only a matter of time. Really. Machinima is always getting better, if not bigger.
So for someone out there that's kind of looking into getting into this type of thing, where would they go? What websites are available right now for someone that's new to this?
Well, the most obvious would obviously have to be Machinima.com. They has existed for a long time now. Ever since the oldest of the Quake 2 movie sites shut down. And over the years, they've released a lot of articles and tutorials that, although, I don't know, most of them are a bit old right now, they really would help a lot, I think, a new person in coming into it.
I think Machinima is more expressive, and it really doesn't really matter what the final film looks like. As long as you have characters, you have a plot, it's not too long, it doesn't bore the audience, but something that kind of keeps pace. And again, we're going to touch on those things later, but I think it's a creative art form, it's expressive, and it's something unique. Most of us, again, out there don't really know what it is, and they've never heard of the word before, so we're trying to encourage people to get into this if they're interested in filmmaking or animation or even game development for that matter.
Well, I definitely agree that I think anyway the heart of almost every Machinima artist is to get their story across rather than the graphics, because as we all know, games aren't yet at a level where they look as good as traditional CGI and Hollywood studio quality. However, in my travels, I found that there are a lot of people in the real world and in the mainstream who are not quite ready, or I don't know, accepting of the fact that these graphics aren't at that quality. Right. So I think a lot of education is still required to get people to understand the context in which these films are being made.
Right now we're going to take a quick break and get you some CNN news.
CNN Radio, I'm Rachel Lee. As Iraqis vote this week in parliamentary elections, President Bush sees a turning point in Iraq. Speaking in Philadelphia, where the U.S. declared independence from the British, Mr. Bush pointed to signs of democracy and progress in Iraq.
On the economic side, we're helping the Iraqis restore their infrastructure, reform their economy, and build the prosperity that will give all Iraqis a stake in a free and peaceful Iraq.
The president noted that Iraq's progress hasn't come without setbacks. He estimated 30,000 Iraqis have died since the war started. The first federal Vioxx trial ends in a mistrial after the jury deadlocked. The judge meets with the lawyers next week to set a date for retrial. Merck attorney Philip Beck says he's ready to go back to court.
We'd hoped that we could come to closure on the case. We look forward to retrying it at the earliest date possible.
The lawyer for a woman who sued Merck over the death of her husband points to allegations Merck withheld damaging data on Vioxx from the New England Journal of Medicine. Hurricane Katrina evacuees get another month in their hotels. A federal judge has extended the deadline for them to check out to February. The judge says evacuees need more time because FEMA can't guarantee that all applications for aid will be processed by FEMA's January 7th deadline. While Stanley Tookie Williams and his lawyers wait to hear whether the governor will spare Williams' life, California prison officials are preparing to execute the convicted murderer. CNN's Corrine Winter is in San Quentin.
Williams is being spoken to by his attorneys, maybe receiving other visitors as well. We also asked what his frame of mind was, how he feels going into this, and his attorneys would just say that he remains cautiously optimistic.
Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger hasn't yet decided whether to grant Williams clemency. The most trusted name in news. This is CNN Radio.
So what did you think of her?
Of who?
The woman in the red dress. I designed her. She doesn't talk very much, but if you'd like to meet her, I can arrange a much more personalized milieu.
The digital pimp hard at work.
I pay no attention to these hypocrites, Neo. To deny our own impulses is to deny the very thing that makes us human.
Welcome back to Machinima Live. Now we're going to head into our first-person point of view section, where we're going to discuss the good, bad, and the ugly Machinima films that are out there. And I know that Doc has quite a few that he would like to talk about and discuss with us. But first, kind of wanted to bring to mind, what do you feel makes a good Machinima film?
Tough question. I guess kind of like asking what is truth or what is the meaning of life or some crazy ass question like that. But I guess in the end, I mean, no, that's even, I don't know, I've thought about it for so long, but that's a question that I can't even begin to answer. I mean, an example is Strange Company's trailer for Bloodspell.
Oh, very good example. Good example.
Okay, yeah, I'm really actually quite looking forward to hearing what you think about that. But I'm not into little elves with pointy ears or guys walking around with big axes or Neverwinter Nights kind of scenarios at all. I mean, I love sci-fi, but I'm not that great with the fantasy. So when I first saw Bloodspell, it really only got to me from a producer's perspective that I thought this is a great looking effort. It looks like it's got a lot of time, planning, forethought and everything put into it. But
right.
I don't know, that's one that the trailer itself didn't entertain me, but I could very much appreciate the whole film, which is a little bit similar to Lord of the Rings for me. I'm not a big fan at all of the three movies. I did like them on a small level, but the whole thing didn't quite work out for me.
Well, Bloodspell's been under production for quite a long time, hasn't it?
You see, the thing is, of all the, this is really ironic, all the other Machinima that exists right now, Bloodspell is the one that I feel has the most in common with the production that we at Binary Picture Show are doing now. Bouncers, Kebabs and Ruby Murray's, it's called Bouncers for short, because as far as I can tell, it's the only one that has as much work being put in. I mean, of course, Strange Company, you're going to say it's the biggest, most ambitious, blah blah blah. That may all very well be true, but from my perspective, Bouncers is quite the bigger project. that sounds so much like I'm trying to blow my own horn here, but
no, you're not.
No, I mean, oh man, how am I going to say that? No, I can sympathize with everything they go through. You know, I mean, I read their blog and everything, and it is enjoyable to kind of follow them on that journey of the production, even if I may not watch all of the episodes when they come out.
All right. Well, and this is theoretically speaking, if you were to spend way too much time on the production, and Strange Company, Hugh Hancock, head of that company, he's an awesome guy, and he's the one that started a lot of this stuff with Machinima and getting this Machinima.com running. But as we're getting back to Bloodspell, he has put a huge emphasis on, this is going to be a huge blockbuster, kind of with everything involved with the pre-production process. If you put that much emphasis into one of these type of films, is it possible that you can lose your audience? You can have too much in there, and if you have too much in a film, that it's going to be just convoluted with way too much stuff.
Of course, I think this is always possible. I mean, from my perspective, which isn't that similar in this sense with Strange Company, I'm using a much older engine, so if I continuously talk about what goes into the film, I probably will lose a lot of people, because I don't think that many people are interested in I think actually some people turn off when they hear how it was, the in and outs of how it was made. So, Strange Company is using Neverwinter Nights, and as far as I know, that is a little bit old. It's still got a few people, or by a few I mean a fair amount of people still playing it, so it's not going to be quite that way. But in terms of the general public, I have shown it to a few people to ask them what they thought, and I don't know if I should. They weren't that impressed. I don't know. This is something that often happens when I show people Machinima. They usually think it doesn't look that impressive. It isn't visually in a place where it's enough to pull them in from the beginning. So, I don't know, it's a bit tough.
I hear exactly.
Maybe I haven't really answered the question, but, these are all so complicated, and I'm just a man.
No, well, a complicated film, it could pose a lot of problems, and I think since I was never able to get my film out, and I worked on that with my brother we had it going for a year, but it was all pre-production, and I'm telling you, the more we tried creating a story that would be simple enough, it seemed like we ended up getting more of a complex, detailed story, and then we'd have to take the eraser and scratch the whole thing and start from the square one. But
I think that's something that you'll find every single Machinima artist has in common. Exactly,
and to tell you, be honest with you, I'm not a very good story writer, so that's one of the things that I struggle with. But in my perspective, I would think that a good Machinima film, considering that your audience now is internet users, and they don't have that much patience probably to sit and watch a 10-minute film.
Definitely.
So number one, the film has to be concise. It has to be short. I'd say an average Machinima film would have to last between 5 and 10 minutes long.
Yeah, that sounds about good. I mean, the other occasion they have been longer, but yeah, for so many reasons, that's the perfect length, because it also takes long to make these. So yeah, that's always good.
And the story, the plot, and I know there's a lot of people out there that have some really good stories, but if you start really whittling in these twists and turns and you start confusing people, they probably aren't going to get it, and they won't watch your following episode. So unfortunately, the plot almost has to be dumbed down to where you can attract the general audience and make them understand what your point or what your vision is of the film.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, not to call these people dumb, but some people have expressed the I don't know, they have said that in Bouncers I should kind of get the story moving a little bit faster. But you see, so far I've only released 2 episodes, which have been quite short, maybe about 3 minutes. The second one was about 4 minutes 20. So that's quite short. And there's a lot of characters. It's brand new. It's supposed to be a whole big story. And some people have asked me that the story should actually be coming into play after 5 minutes of it, which I find is a little bit unwise in the long term anyway.
All right, so Doc, you're working on the film Bouncers right now, as you were just saying. In general, what would you say this film, or these series of Machinima films, what are they about? What's the basic plot?
Well, the basic idea of it is that, the greater idea, which is something that you definitely can't see now, is that every authority figure in society has superpowers. By authority, I don't mean mums and dads. I'm talking like police, bouncers, teachers, blah blah blah. And it kind of focuses on the power struggles of these two groups of superhero bouncers that run like night spots that are close to each other.
And I've watched the first 2 episodes, and I have to hand it to you. It's some good work, and I know we're kind of off the subject of good and bad films for a second, but we can lead into this. I think that one of the most amazing parts of your films is how you were able to get the film, and if you can explain, you did use the Quake 2 engine, but it was a modified version of the Quake 2 engine, which was more remarkable to me, I think, as a viewer.
Well, you see, I think I've heard a lot of people clicking to stop this podcast now that they've heard the name Quake 2, because as far as I know, that just gets people bored and they go away. But yeah, it was made using a modified version of the Quake 2 engine, and we've been doing the pre-production for this for about 1.5 years, and a little bit before that, I already started experimenting with open source versions of Quake 2 that other people had been playing around with and making to see how that could make my Machinima easier to make, which would in turn mean it comes out faster, and also make it better looking, moves better, and in turn, I don't know, just looks better.
Could we call you the director in this film, or are you kind of like the lead guy here? I actually wear way too many hats, more than I'm comfortable with. So you have kind of in the production process, just kind of basically you have the programmer, you have like a modeler, animation. Those guys kind of take care of their own things, and they all kind of coordinate this with you.
Yeah, sometimes they do talk a little bit with each other if what they're doing kind of crosses over, but for the most part they usually just need to talk to me individually, and what we do is go over the things that are required. I mean, there is a lot of faith play into it, because usually I don't have to explain to them the intricate ins and outs of the story. But I request what's needed, and no one gets paid to do this, of course. So everyone does it in the time that they have, and then comes back to me with what they've got.
Okay, going back to the film Bouncers, what's the actual character's name for the Bouncer's lead character, the guy with the glasses?
I see. That's something that was going to come out in the next episode. His name is actually Bouncer. That's what everyone's called him so far. It's just that it happens usually. It's said by someone who doesn't know him personally. So you make it you may think they're talking to him as a general kind of guy, but no, it's actually his name. He's so dedicated to his job. His name is Bouncer.
And he's trying to keep these people that are underage out of the bar because it gives his company, it gives the business a bad reputation. Is that the general idea?
Well, as I've said, the story hasn't quite been able to get to where it's supposed to be in the first 2 episodes. But
I can't pry it out of you.
What's going on right now? But of course, as time goes along and the power struggle begins to increase between these guys, it becomes more of an issue of stopping these guys from the bad guys use a lot of foul play, so it becomes through a fight of good versus evil to keep the good guys' night spot open for those good behaving people to come in and keep drinking and flirting with ladies all night long. Something that we can all aspire to.
That's awesome. I look forward to seeing your 3rd episode. Actually, it's been really good watching those films. So I look forward to your follow-up.
thank you. I hope a lot of other people will do too.
Well, we actually have a clip that we're going to play for you right now, and it's from Bouncers Episode 2, so if you haven't seen it yet, please go to thebinarypictureshow.com and download Episode 2, and if you haven't seen Episode 2, you have to download Episode 1, of course. But here's a short clip from Bouncers Episode 2.
Ah, Bouncer, just in time. I was showing Governor my new toy. Like I said, a proverbial flick of a metaphorical switch, and there you go. Hey presto.
What?
Can't you see the wonder of Willie's marvellous underage detection system?
Can't say I do.
It is quite simple. Its principles are a derivative of a breathalyzer, least for one exception. This device extracts DNA from the saliva of whomsoever shall be nearest. If any DNA detected is under that of 18 years of age, an alarm will sound.
That's all very well and good, and I use that term loosely, Willie, but it does not appear to be proverbially working.
That is because no one here is under 18, my dear. Especially not you, I hasten to add.
Cheeky bastard.
Now, children, be quiet so the adults can do some talking. And Wally, stop picking your nose.
All right, so getting back to what we were talking about before, to kind of summarize this point of view section, bad Machinima films. Just think of 2 or 3 off the top of your head that you just, it doesn't really kind of go with you. It doesn't go with the flow. It's on your shit list.
Unfortunately, although you did tell me to get a few names together for this, I have managed to screw that up and not get specific names of some of the films, which is probably good in the long run because, well, actually no, this may be worse because I'm going to go ahead and say that recently the films that have reached my shit list have all come from the movies by Lionhead. As you know, the program makes it much simpler to make Machinima films, and as a result,
that's awesome.
a lot of oh man, this is just not kosher. A lot of people have been making a lot of bad movies, and this has actually made me appreciate a lot of other Machinima that I normally wouldn't have.
Yeah, well, when a film is not supposed to be funny and it gets me laughing right before the actual film starts.
Yeah, it's never good.
But, yeah, I mean, the movies has some potential, but I think that until the mod community is more emphasized and you have utilities that free camera reign, because right now I think there's only predetermined camera shots and camera angles, and the sets are all there, so everyone has the same sets, and they're filming with the same thing, so you're going to have a redundancy in terms of what you're creating. And I think the films overall just aren't that good. There might be 1 or 2 of them that have some, that are well worth watching, but I can't name them off the top of my head.
Yeah, the problem with shit films, you kind of put them in the recycle bin of your head, and you just forget about them.
Well, quickly, I'm going to name a couple films off the top of the list that I think are good quality Machinima films. Now, Doc, we may have a difference in opinion here, so feel free to jump in and hit me really hard if I happen to mouth off one that you just perhaps don't like.
Okay, I'm sure it will happen at some point.
Just don't jump out of your seat now, okay? Just stay calm for this one.
I'll do my best. I mean, I can't guarantee it, but here we go.
All right, the first thing I wanted to talk was Anna, which was created using the Quake 2 engine, and it's by Fountainhead Entertainment. Oh, is it Quake 3?
Yeah.
All right, the thing that I liked about Anna, they used a lot of custom content, and again, Quake 3, as you know, was a first-person shooter, blood, guts, a lot of running around with guns, nameless stuff here, but we're looking at custom content. They designed a really nice forest-like area, beautiful sets, actually, with the flowers that they used. It was more of a lyrical film backed by a really great soundtrack. It was more the music and the pictures that you saw on the movie that kind of created the story. Excellent camera work, and it basically emphasized the power of Machinima using older game technology. A lot of people are going to be turned off by the fact that this Quake 3 is, oh my god, why are we watching this? But it has nothing to do with old game technology. Again, just like Doc here is, creating these really cool films called Bouncers, and it doesn't matter what he's using to create it. He's going kind of outside the box, and he's creating these films that are creative, that are kind of outside the box, and they should be viewed as such. I mean, those are the better films, I think, than using just all this general stuff that you're thrown at, such as the movies. That's what I really liked about Anna. It's a lot of custom content that makes it unique.
Unfortunately for the guys at home, they're kind of waiting for the moment that I totally disagree with you. I start punching you over the Atlantic.
That hurt.
Totally
That hurt.
I totally agree with most of it. Of course, you have to love something that has been taken, well, I think anyway, away from what the original engine was supposed to do, and there's nothing that does that more than Anna. I mean, if I did have to play devil's advocate, what I would say is, unfortunately, it was so far away from what is Quake 3's. It wasn't quite my kind of thing. I mean, I thought they have a lot of resources required to make these really great films, and then they made a film about a flower. I mean, I don't know, if that was on TV, I'm not sure what I would think about it. But from a Machinima point of view, of course, I can't help but like everything that was presented and the way it was done. I'm one of those people who actually don't think the music was that great. I thought it sounded a bit on the MIDI side, but still, it all worked together, and the pictures were incredibly beautiful. I mean, some parts actually looked pre-rendered, I thought. But no, I've got to agree.
We have a disagreement. Finally, we have a disagreement.
Well, we might get a worse disagreement, so, you know.
The second one was the Infiltrators. This one is used creating the Unreal Tournament 2004 game, and if you don't already know, this game has a utility called Unreal Editor, and what it allows you to do is create your own levels, and it has a tool called Matinee, and what Matinee allows you to do is actually place cameras in your level. You can trigger the sequence so that these cameras will actually film what is going on during this level or during the game that you're setting up. Interpolating between camera to camera, it has some nice sweeping motions. You can create any kind of effect you want. But Infiltrators was a finalist in the Make Something Unreal contest. It was a custom level design. All the characters and the animations were designed from scratch. And again, it was using the Unreal game engine creatively. Again, it's something new and it's something refreshing. You're seeing new content. You're not just seeing same old stuff that's been thrown at you from these game engines.
Unfortunately, I think I only saw a teaser or a trailer for that. I'm not entirely sure. But it was one of the films that I watched and kept on my computer for a while. I mean, there are some films that I watch and immediately, press shift and delete and pray that I never remember those films again. But no, the little I saw of Infiltrators does seem to have, made me, got me slightly entertained.
And this third one here is a killer. I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm a huge action junkie. Only the Strong Survive, from the Max Payne 2 engine. It was created by...
I was hoping you were going to say something like the Matrix 4x1. Then I would have jumped on you and, cut you up, but no.
No. You know, and that's another story. We won't get into that now, but, the Strong Survive is just excellent. Actually, Marshall created that from Riot Films. He's actually part of the Machinima.com community. You've seen him posting before, but did a marvelous job on the scripted sequences. He actually used a combination of in-game footage along with scripted sequences and combined it together to make a really cool cinematic experience. And again, it's not much of a story, but it develops, something simple enough to follow. The character, the acting was decent. I thought it kind of kept me interested. It was a longer type film, but I watched it from the beginning to end, and I've actually seen it several times, and I've enjoyed it every single time I've watched it.
Well, yeah, this is also a film that I've seen several times. Visually, it is appealing. A lot of I did interview Jason Choi, the director, a few a few weeks, maybe a month ago, on my site, and I got to know a few details about it. And yeah, I mean, from a technical point of view, it's definitely something that has to be appreciated, because it had some like custom stuff put in there. All the maps were custom made. And then on the other hand, from a viewer's point, I thought it was the story was a little bit too simple for my taste, maybe, but that didn't stop me from enjoying what was in the film. So yeah, overall, it was a good watch.
Yep, indeed it was. You know, I totally get what you're saying. There was a lot of custom content, and they did an excellent job putting it together. And The Awakening is by April Hoffman from Atlas Productions, and she used Sims 2. Now, she's been quite popular among several online forums for creating these really good Sims 2 films. I don't know if you've seen The Awakening.
Yeah, I think I've seen 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, I'll give my opinions after you've finished with yours, and we'll see how they compare.
Well, you know, to start out, I thought that I liked the characters. The characters I thought were well crafted. I was more interested in the main character. I forgot their names. I know it doesn't sound like I know much about the story now, but I kind of followed this character, and as he saw that this world was not what it was seemed, and that his girlfriend, he couldn't convince his girlfriend, and she thought, you know, he was crazy, and I thought this was the part of the story that really took my interest, is kind of, again, thinking outside the box. It was a really well-crafted story. And again, using The Sims 2 to her advantage, she had some really good shots. I thought the camera work was okay, nothing fancy, but the editing and post-production work, and again, I thought the ending, which I won't tell you what happened, but I thought the ending was really good, a really good way to end it. I wasn't sure what was going to happen, and it actually left me wanting more. I wish she would have made some more episodes to kind of keep things going, but I thought it was a well-made Sims movie.
I think mostly the same, but I was one of those people who was slightly disappointed by the end. I'm not quite sure. The first and second episode seemed to be going on, I don't know, heading towards such a climax when the third finally came, and if I remember correctly, there was quite a fat gap in between them, and while I'm sure I've been guilty of the same thing, by the time I saw the next one, I wasn't quite sure what happened on the episode before, and being being a lazy internet guy as I am, as so many other people, I didn't go back and watch the other ones again. And while I do remember thinking something really big, grand was going to happen, I didn't quite remember, what was going on. But yeah, as it turns out, I was, I don't know, I wasn't as satisfied by the ending as I thought I should be. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I definitely have to side with you on that. I thought that she could have maybe done a better job of maybe exploring a little bit more before she ended it. Kind of thought there would be maybe 2 or 3 more episodes that she could have maybe enhanced the story a little bit. But overall, it was entertaining. But before we kind of continue on to the next, our last segment of the show, wanted to point out the one that you're probably going to have a big snippet on is Red versus Blue.
Yes, some people from the Machinima.com community will know Red versus Blue is just one of the things I don't quite get. I'll give my reasons later.
It's popular Machinima. It's easy Machinima. It's not complicated at all. At first, when I watched it, I had no idea what they were talking about. They kind of spat out jokes at each other, and after a while, it seemed like people caught on to it, and they just kind of watch it to get a laugh or two. Some of them are dull. I just can't seem. I haven't watched every single one of them. I watch every now and then, and I just think that it's cool that they've made Machinima on the console systems, so it's kind of moving away from the PC. They've done it a different way. I'm kind of good and bad on this one. I can probably go either way.
Well, the thing for me is that when it started out, I think I was actually quite entertained by it. The writing is good. The writing and the acting are great on it. But as time went along, I don't know. The whole thing just started to wane for me, and this was towards the end of the first season, and then it really, really became tedious to look at the characters. I just can't handle it it just doesn't change at all. And then my girlfriend, who I'd shown it to, said it works whether you watch the images or not. And she, like, while I was watching it, she was like doing something else, and she was listening to it, and she said it made absolutely no difference whatsoever with the visuals there. And I kind of realized it was the same. I think now that really it's a glorified radio play. I mean, I know that there are a lot of fans of it out there, but no, this is just something that doesn't quite work with me on the whole. And yeah, I'm a little bit. I think their greatest strength is actually that they've been able to, thanks to its simplicity involved in making it, they've been able to release an episode every week consistently. As far as I know, I don't know if they still do that. I imagine they do, but I think that's been their greatest strength. They've managed to build up their cult following through consistency, which is something that many people in Machinima have tried to do and haven't been able to, because while Machinima is simple, it does take time. And this is something I also wish I could do, but to reach the level of visual quality that I'm aiming for, I haven't quite been able to get there yet without a team.
I think you'll be fine. And like I said, the toughest part is trying to market that basic idea towards a common audience that will want to watch your film at, consistently, maybe not as consistently as Red versus Blue. Again, you're talking about a totally different audience there. So, I think it's just the way that you're going to go about it, and hopefully you can just attract that group of people that can consistently sit down and say, I want to watch Bouncers tonight. I can't wait till this next episode comes out.
Well, that's the hope. I mean, right now, I don't think we get that many viewers at all, let alone viewers who are going to comment on it. So, and part of the reason that is that outside of Machinima.com and Planet Quake, there really isn't anywhere that I can easily post news of it on and it would be accepted. If I made, let's say, this in Half-Life 2, I feel it would be much more successful because, of course, the first people who would eat it up would be lovers of Half-Life 2. However, for many various reasons, that can't be done.
Right, and again, it's unfortunate because you would like to think that you, as the creator and as a director that has a vision, if you wanted to use an older game engine, you should be able to do that, because again, that's kind of how you want your film to be. Now, if you can and do that in Half-Life, and you'd be more satisfied with the result, then that's fine. But if you would like to take that older game engine and still create this film, I think that's perfectly fine. And if someone doesn't want to watch it because of the game, they're just missing out.
Yeah, there isn't that much I can do about it. I think part of the point of Bouncers is to come from a whole new universe altogether, and in a sense, using a game that to many people has died out is part of the point of the whole thing, so that it's not seen in any way associated with the game, but in its own right, 100% is its own animal.
Right. On Friday evening, November 11th, 2005, the Academy of Machinima Arts and Sciences announced the winners of the 2005 Machinima Awards, otherwise known as the Mackies. I'll quickly run down the list. Best Picture was Game On by Ethan Vogt, Furnace Media Group. Best Direction was Whiplash, the movie, by Jake Hughes. Best Virtual Performance, A Few Good G-Men, by Randall Glass, using the Half-Life 2 engine. The IFC Award for Excellence in Machinima Screenwriting, Panics, by Rooster Teeth Productions, the creators of Red vs. Blue. Best Visual Design, Person 2184, Frederick Kirschner, using the Unreal Tournament 2004 game engine. Best Technical Achievement, Person 2184 again. Best Sound, Only the Strong Survive by Jason Choi, by Riot Films. Best Editing, Strangerhood Studios. The Strangerhood actually is the name of the film, by Rooster Teeth Productions again. Best Independent Machinima Film, Red vs. Blue Season 3 by Rooster Teeth. Best Commercial Game Machinima, Game On. Ethan Vogt, again, got nominated for that. Best Off-the-Shelf Machinima, The Return by Tyrion Gregory and Ursula Ferguson, using World of Warcraft. I think that's a beautiful engine to use, actually. I saw that film. It's excellent. Best Machinima Series, This Spartan Life by Chris Burke, using Halo 2. And Academy Honorary Award went to David Wright for developing Key Grip for Quake, which I'm sure that you have used, right, Doc?
Yeah, I mentioned him earlier in this cast.
Congratulations to all the winners, and again, you can see the full list of nominees if you go to simply www.machinima.org and click on the Machinima Film Festival banner. It'll bring you to the page, and you can actually have a rundown of all the nominees for all the categories that I just kind of went through. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back to wrap up our first episode. Be back after this.
A dream come true for Paramount Pictures. It's buying DreamWorks for $1.6 billion.
You think you're the Shark Slayer? As if!
That'll give it rights to blockbusters like Shark Tale. In Houston, a mistrial has been declared in the first federal lawsuit over Merck's painkiller Vioxx.
I hope they don't go on strike. I'm a small businessman. I need to get to where I'm going.
The worries are over for now for airline passengers. Delta pilots have agreed to 15% pay cuts, avoiding a strike against the bankrupt carrier. American beef could soon be what's for dinner in Japan. Joe Sheely's with the National Cattlemen's Beef Association.
There's some talk of it being back on the shelves in December. Logistically, that could be difficult. We think early January is a more realistic goal.
Japan has agreed to ease its 2-year ban on U.S. meat. A new report shows China surpassed the U.S. as the world's top exporter of laptop computers and mobile phones last year. CNN Radio Business Minute, I'm Cheryl Castro.
Have you ever stood and stared at it, marveled at its beauty, its genius? Billions of people just living out their lives, oblivious.
Okay, we're back, and we're going to be talking about a little about some of the recent Machinima news that's been up in a few places recently. I guess this has always been happening, but quite recently there have been a few articles on Machinima that haven't come from Machinima.com at all, and have been written by the guys in the real world, so to put it. And yeah, I think you've got some of those on you that have.
So yeah, one of the first articles that I found was basically entitled "Video Games Go to the Movies," and I found this. It was Business Week Online, but it was provided to me from 3dfilmmaker.com, and he has a great wealth of resources available to us. So feel free to check out that website. But apparently, the article describes how one filmmaker was talking about the French riots that were going on, and I think it's called. And I think the Machinima film that he created is entitled "The French Democracy." But apparently there was inaccurate news reports on what had actually happened, so he had decided to use the movies and kind of reenact what he felt was going on in this time frame. So he reenacted it. It was a short film, but he said it was rough around the edges. He didn't own a microphone. There were no voices, only subtitles, which is interesting. Subtitles can really be good if you don't have a clear voice, or you have a slur on your language, or your language is different. You can subtitles really kind of clear things up. Chan decided to write the subtitles in English to gain a wider audience. The background scenery provided in the video game was set in Manhattan, so that Chan's French characters are seen against backdrops such as the Empire State Building and the New York subway. Chan has no plans to make another movie, but other Machinima enthusiasts are producing more ambitious films. So I'm sure, Doc, you've read about what happened here, and if you want to follow up with that.
Yeah, no, I did go through the article. One of the things that I did previously say about how I thought it was rough around the edges is that, what I thought about the whole quality in a slightly longer form. Those who do love the movie, I think, love it partly because it is so rough, and they feel that the things that this guy, I can't remember his name, or something like Kuramata or something, the things that he didn't have access to gave the film even more strength. And I mean, while I didn't feel that it was well put together at all, and for me that didn't really work, it was very good at bringing what happened to a lot of people who wouldn't have known about it, especially here in the UK. I know for a fact so many people have a lot of animosity towards France and the French, and we didn't really give two shits about the riots other than the fact that we were worried it was going to spread over here for some reason. But yeah, no, it was good. It raised awareness as far as that went. Obviously, it is biased and made from one man in particular's view, but so is everything else. On that score, it was good, and I guess that is the victory for Machinima, that it was able to rise to that next level, so to speak.
According to the article, he said that he worked on his laptop. It was a $70 video game. Now, again, it's probably cheaper in the U.S., but Chan produced a powerful 12-minute animated film about the recent riots in French suburbs in less than a week. So the film, The French Democracy, is winning plaudits from critics who say it could finally push Machinima into the mainstream. Well, that might be a little of an overstatement, but he does make a statement, and he just wanted to make a public statement to counteract what he saw as inaccurate news coverage linking the French riots to Islamic fundamentalism. So in his view, racism and mistreatment of minorities were the key reasons for the violence. Born in Paris to Chinese immigrant parents, Chan felt that he brought an unusual perspective to the situation. So,
there you go. The guy has a real name. I didn't even remember that.
I was just referring to him as the guy that made the film.
Yeah, same with me. What can you do?
All right, and quickly, the last article I had was Machinima surfaces on campus. This I'm highly interested in because I myself, I work for DeVry University, and I'm trying to figure out ways to get this type of technology out into the public, into our campus, so students can actually use it and kind of discover something new. But apparently, Stanford University students, they had a special performance. These people from the Ill Clan, a group that calls itself a collective of 3D artists, filmmakers, and improvisational comedians focused on creating animated episodic shows and works for hire using the Machinima process. What they did was they came on campus, and apparently they used the Xbox or PlayStation, I forgot, it must have been the Xbox, and they created more of a comedy show using the game. So they kind of had their microphones, and they did it all live, real time, which I think is hard to do when you're improvising on the fly like that.
This is a bit of a weird one for me, because the first time I read about them doing this, I thought it was a really good idea and something that we were going to see a lot more of coming from different people, but never did so far as I know. The Ill Clan are the only guys to do this sort of thing, and they started off using the Quake 2 engine for it, which again, of course, I'm going to be an advocate of because I use it, but despite its old age, it is actually a really, if not one of the best engines, I think, for live performances. And now that they've got a new thing going, like some kind of talk show, I guess it is. It's great to see them still doing it, but I'm surprised I haven't seen more. I think this is partly to do with the fact that Machinima is a very one-man thing. It says a lot of the time it's publicized as something you don't need a big team for, you don't need a lot of money for, and as a result, people who do end up doing it don't have the resources to do this. But I think this is a great way of using Machinima.
Right. Yeah. I think, and what we've been stressing this entire show here is we want people to take Machinima seriously. And I think most people, again, you're going to say, well, have you tried producing Machinima? Do you know what Machinima is? They're going to look at you and they're going to think you're nuts. And most people don't take you seriously. They don't take that technology seriously. But I think that's kind of what everyone is trying to do from the Machinima community. People like us, these podcasts hopefully will kind of do something and help market the actual technology.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when I try to tell people about what I do, I start off obviously not using the word Machinima at all. I start off explaining in brief the process of how it's made, and then if their faces light up and they go, oh wait, I know what that's called, then you've got a bit of a winner. But a lot of the time it doesn't happen.
Right. Well, I mean, I had the two things that I kind of wanted to kind of bring up to kind of start, closing things off. And I know it's kind of been a longer our first show has been quite long. I don't know the actual running time right now, but
anyone who's still watching, like me, listening to this, thanks, more power to you.
Yeah, we're kind of hoping to do this on a weekly basis. And again, we hope we can get some feedback. We can kind of fine-tune the show. We want to have more people join in. It would be good to have maybe 3 and have a guest every now and then. And we can kind of go from there and kind of build on this. And I think this is kind of good foundation for kind of what we wanted to accomplish in the first place.
I think partly the fact that there are no other Machinima podcasts that I know of. This, for those really hardcore into Machinima, should, despite the length, should be quite good, I hope.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up right now. Again, thank you for listening to Machinima Live, and we hope to kind of keep these links posted, and within the next week, you should have another episode out and available for you to download. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to email one of us. I think right now, since Doc, you have your webpage up and running, I would head over to www.binarypictureshow.com. You can probably use the contact link on there. I think there's an easy place to email.
Yeah, we've got a forum. It's got a lot of room in it because, out of 300 people who have been to the site, I don't think any have been impressed enough to leave a comment. But do check it out if you can.
That's fine. Yeah, leave your comments on Binary Picture Shows on Doc's website, and then you can also head over to machinima.com and feel free to make a post under our podcast forum. And that would be great, but we do appreciate everyone taking their time out to listen to this. And again, we hope to kind of improve. It might have been rough around the edges at first, but I had a fun time doing it.
Yeah, if anyone doesn't want me to speak down about so many films, just let us know, and I'll try and ease up a little bit. I'll try.
And for everyone here at No Name Studios, we're kind of recording. I'm in Chicago and Doc's in the UK right now, so we're just kind of doing this from our own workstations. But we do appreciate it. You guys have a good evening, and we'll talk to you at the next time. Bye.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.
Link disengaged.